Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and well, I've been on that alcohol-free Peroni again, guys. And I have to say, it does have that effect on me that there might be alcohol in it. I put it down to perhaps my allergies. And I know I've got allergies because this morning I had a bit of a fright because, well, actually I didn't notice it at first. I kind of didn't take that much notice of myself, you know. And it wasn't until we wanted to pop to the shops and I thought, better make yourself presentable. And I looked, and this here, I had this huge kind of droopy bulge. You know, like when people have got real big, long bags under their eyes. It looked like that, but it was just round, like a big, under the skin, like a huge bag. And I thought, oh my God, you know, just one right there. And it's not completely gone down. It's disappeared to a certain, well, to quite a degree, but it was very big. I thought, I can't make a video like that. I can't be seen like that. Well, I did. I made my video, and hopefully it was not so visible when I did it. But it has gone down quite a bit, thank goodness. So I Googled it, and it said, I just put in sudden eye bag, sudden eye bags or on cheek, because you know, some people, you can see them, they've got those, like they come right out the eye and down. And it said that there are several causes that it can be, and the most common cause is allergy. And I thought, oh great, you know, more symptoms of allergy. It's like, you know, God, there are other causes, but you know, it's definitely an allergy. And yesterday we popped in there, and while we were there, we were eating crisps. We popped in, had a couple of drinks, and I was on the alcohol-free Peroni then too, and I had a bag of barbecue flavoured crisps, and it was quite a big bag, and at the end I ended up with a sore tongue. So I figured it's definitely allergy. And then I became kind of aware that just about everything that I was eating contained wheat. Hang on, gonna sneeze. Is it coming? No, it's gone. But yeah, everything I was eating had wheat in it, and everything I was drinking had wheat in it. So on Monday, Gary and I are starting to diet. We're doing it. And when it comes to Paul's birthday, we'll have a kind of a cheat day, I guess. But yeah, other than that, we're going to be sticking to it. And I'm not really settled on a plan, but we're definitely going to do something. Anyway, it's happening. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. Sort of blister on my tongue from that, and soreness, and eye bag from hell. Anyway, popped in there today. They do a carvery on a weekend. It's meant to be really, really good on a Sunday. So we popped in and we pop in a lot, aren't we? We popped in and didn't have the carvery because we're having a homemade one. Last hurrah is a homemade roasty, one of Gary's. This happy Tracy. And so we didn't have to go have the carvery, but we're having a home one. But we did have a couple of drinks while we listened to the entertainment. And they had a guy who was singing through the ages. So we didn't see all of it. We only saw his first half. So he was doing a bit of swing, you know, a bit of Mac the Knife and Fly Me to the Moon. And then he was starting to get towards a bit later on. So we had a bit of Johnny Cash and a few others around that kind of time. And I suppose when he came back on after we left, he might get a little bit more modern, but we didn't see it all. And he was a passable singer. But yeah, so we left just as they were going to do bingo. I do love a game of bingo, I have to say. But I didn't have any, although they did have pens and everything else, but Gary was cooking, so we left and we thought we'll go back another day and do bingo. So yeah, it was quite an entertaining afternoon. Gary had to pop out. See, we're popping again. He had to pop out and get cream to make his cauliflower cheese, which I am absolutely looking forward to. And so we just popped in there while we popped out. Yeah. Whenever I say that now, like I popped in, we popped in, we popped out, it reminds me of Mickey Flanagan, because he only popped out. Now he's out sort of thing. That's what kind of happened to us. We popped out. We ended up out. But luckily I didn't have my slippers on, which is what the end of his jokes sort of comes to, doesn't it? Let's do this while I remember. End of the weekend. Wow, that's dark. Not sure what that is. It's ugly, whatever it is. Mega ugly. May you never leave Moss Esper, says Doka Strazi. Even when a Trandoshian pays you a compliment, it sounds like a threat, Boba Fett. Well, neither of them are Boba. Them ugly. Ugly bugs. Okay, let's do the jokies. Don't complain about growing old. Many people don't get that privilege. That was Earl Warren. Yesterday I found a grey hair. Yippee. For years my wife has called me Baldy. There'll be no more of that. Stuart and Linda McFarlane. I went to the optician and said, my eyesight is getting really bad. Sure is, came the reply. I'm your husband. And that was Amanda Bell. You'll know you're over 60 when you start wearing silly hats. John Newbold. Well, us crocheters wear silly hats all the time, regardless of age. Usually contraptions that we have made ourselves. Case in point. Anyway, look what I did earlier, look. That's a nasty one. That is a war wound from the yarn van. I said to Gary, you know, going out, popping out, there's more to it as well. Look, there's some down there. Goes all up my arm. And well, actually, it hides the one I did before, so which was only small, but now it's giant. And what happened was, as I was taking one of the boxes off the racking, I guess I was too close to the one at the side of it, and off came the skin. So I had to stop what I was doing and stop bleeding. And then get back to work. So yeah, I kind of have warehouse injuries. I do. I have warehouse injuries. Yeah. But, you know, I'm just a bit fed up with the fact that the skin on my hands, on my arms rather, seems tad older than the rest of me. You know, it shouldn't be performing like I'm in my 70s. Really, and it does. It tears like you wouldn't believe. Must be very thin, the skin on my arms. I think it's because I've always worn short sleeves and I haven't always used factor. And, you know, when you're young and you've got your buggy, your stroller, and you're pushing your baby around in prams and buggies, then your arms are out in the elements all the time. So, you know, I'm quite surprised that I don't have skin cancer because of it. Because back in those days, we didn't slather the factor on. And even when we knew that we should be slathering the factor on, we didn't really, did we? It's not until more recent years that we think about sun damage and skin cancers and stuff like that. So, yeah. But, you know, whatever. I'm just destined to have ugly arms, really, full of bruises, bumps, digs, scabs. It's not scabs, actually. It just sort of looks like a blood scuff. And it's kind of like a bruise under the skin. Weird. I'm doing it all the time, though. Funnily enough, only on the left arm. Maybe my right arm knows what it's doing. My left arm is a tad unruly. Maybe. I don't know. Stupid. I have to stop doing it. Maybe I said to Gary, perhaps it's because we're getting wider. You know, maybe we need to get narrower and it won't happen. I think it will, you know. Somehow think it will. But it can't hurt to become narrower. It's much easier to get around that yarn van if I was narrower. Because I've got so much stuff in there. Seriously. One thing's for sure, I've got an awful lot less swirly whirly cakes than I had before. So I'm going to have to do maybe another yarn of the week soon. Oh, that is so sore, really. Anyway, enough of my ailments and wounds. That was scary, though. I've got to say, it really was. And I just looked at it and thought, it reminded me of my mother-in-law. When I first met my ex, his mum had awful droopy baggy eyes, and it's a sort of a family trait, and her daughter's got it, and so did my ex to a certain extent, where like the eye bags are a bit prominent. And I looked at it and I thought, one, you know, I don't really want two, but I didn't want one either, you know. It's like, what? One. It's just like, I said to Gary, look. He went, I can't see anything. When it's there, look, oh, you can't, you've got to be able to see that. That is huge. And he was like, well, maybe it'll go down before we have to go out. I've got ice on it, right? And I went and I sort of got a packet of peas. I put them on my face. And then when I pulled it away, it was all wrinkly. Because it was like the moisture had gone, but the skin was still there. And I was like, I think I preferred the bag. You know, just saying. But when we got back, I did look in the mirror and it was hardly visible. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to start towing the line, really, with the food and drink. And, you know, but it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable couple of days of drinking my alcohol-free Peronis. They don't really cater for alcohol-free in there too well. There's no copper bags or, you know, alcohol-free ciders that are nice and sweet or anything like that. Anyway, I won't be able to have them from tomorrow. In any case, it'd be on the Diet Coke. But, you know, I don't mind that. Really. Yeah, it's nice to get out because, you know, since lockdown, we haven't bothered. And we used to go out all the time before that. There's all these campsites here and they all have entertainment on, you know, and there's ones further afield, just around, you know, up the road and around the corner a little ways that I used to go there, do their bingo and stuff like that. Well, I only went once. Didn't even know it was on, but I won it. Everybody hated me instantly. It was like, she doesn't even belong here. You know, that sort of thing. But, yeah, we thought we'd go again, and we never did. You know, one of those things. But the place we've been going to, just staggering distance, really. But I don't drink, so it doesn't matter. But they do karaoke on a Friday, and I thought it'd be good for the boys to come over and have a bit of a warble, you know, bit of a warble. A warble. Gary earlier, right? He did some weeding. Quite a lot of weeding. Back to being active. No longer just sitting there like a big veggie. But I was in the club, it's quite loud. And I was kind of lip reading him, and he said that he weed up the side of the house. It's like, what? And he says, you know, weeding. I went, oh, okay. I thought you best not shout that one out. Weed up the side of the house. He went, no, weeded. I went, oh, okay. Oh, it was so funny. It's like, you did what? Pardon? It's not that far to go in here. But yeah, it did very well weeing up the side of the house. There was loads there. We've got this really weird kind of grass. It's some kind of seaside, very tough, ferny looking grass. Looks, you know, maybe a seaweed of some sort, I don't know, but weed killer doesn't kill it. I've tried in the past, and it really is bushy. And it was pretty crazy down the side of the house. I've not been able to identify it. I've never met anyone who knew what it is, but it is very wiry and it grows pretty crazy. And yeah, the front garden gets quite a lot of it, but the side between us and Lee outside this window, and that's where the aircon unit is, just goes crazy out there. Absolutely crazy. And the front garden, we do get a few stingers. So he's got rid of everything. It's all gone. And the other side of the house as well, it's all clear, just stony. So yeah, he's been really busy this morning. And then he didn't really want to make a roast, but I kind of talked him into it. You know, the last one. It was like, okay. And then, yay, yes. Anyway, I've got, what was I going to tell you? While I was out in the yarn van earlier, I found one of my crochet hooks that they just disappear, don't they? And for some reason, I had 4 balls of yarn in a bag with a crochet hook, but I have no idea why. I've got a feeling it was some yarn that I had when I made my shallow point shawl. I brought it and said it's very similar colour, and I put a hook in it because perhaps I was going to make one. I never did. So this is why my hooks disappear. I find them in the most random places. But got it back now. But it was a soft touch anyway. Whenever I say soft touch, it reminds me of this Depeche Mode song that I've got really into, and it's called Have I Got a Soft Touch? And it's one of the newer ones. It might just be called Soft Touch, but they've got some brilliant songs. When back in the 80s, when they made those iconic 80s hits, they were one type of band, but now they've got some absolutely incredible stuff, and I listen to them all the time, and I love Soft Touch. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's about his brother who kind of came up and got on his ear roll for a handout and never paid it back, and that sort of thing. So that's what it means. We've got a soft touch, kind of means, and is my radar that off and all stuff. It's really good. I love that song. And there's so many of their songs that I really do love. Let me get you their playlist that I've got, because you really need to give them a listen. They are absolutely fantastic. I don't think it'll start playing. Oh yeah, no, I was thinking the other day. When I was watching the football last night, oh my God, we were rubbish. Anyone watch it? Oh, we played against people who drive buses, and 1-0 we won, and we were lucky to get that. Absolutely disgraceful. I think if the opposition is pants, then we play ridiculously badly. Okay. It's No Good is another one. Stripped is a good one. Never Let Me Down Again. That's another one. Did I say it's no good? I think I did. I Feel You. I love Feel You. Dream On. Precious. That's beautiful. Precious is beautiful. And Wrong is actually quite good, but it's a bit takes some getting used to. Soothe My Soul. Love Soothe My Soul. Soft Touch / Raw Nerve. And Heaven. So yeah, I've been listening to those loads. I've kind of got all the old ones on that playlist as well, and sometimes I have a bit of a Depeche Mode moment and I play that because I absolutely love Depeche Mode, and I was a mega big fan of Martin Gore when I was young. He just brought out this maternal instinct in me. Well, perhaps not, but you know what I mean. I know David Gahan was brilliant, But Martin Gorman, oh, and he was the songwriter as well. So all of those brilliant songs came from him. I loved him. Anyway, not just him. I loved Tears for Fears. Oh, yeah, I really did like Tears for Fears. And Wham. You know, we had some brilliant bands in those days. This was like the best time for Brit music, wasn't it? Really, really great time. It was. Anyway, check me out having a bit of a nostalgia trip. But yeah, they've got some great stuff, some new stuff, and so have Tears for Fears. Not in the same vein, because Depeche Mode never stopped. Whereas, you know, Tears for Fears broke up, didn't talk for years, and all that stuff. They've got a bit too ego-fied. And I'm having a bit of trouble with my equipment here, guys. There we go. It's better now. I feel like there was something I was going to show you. Like a little show and tell. But I can't remember what it is. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. I did my giveaway of some funny feet. It's 4-ply, UK 4-ply, which is a sport weight yarn across the pond. Don't know what it is in Australia. Because, you know, I can just about cope with two terms and 2 thingies. But, you know, bring me some more and it's like, what? Yeah, I remember that. Maybe not. So, yeah, I've been very lazy. Very, very lazy. I started on a hat last night, hated it, and I undid it. So, yeah, didn't get anywhere. And the night before, I was getting stuck into the new stitches for the cowl. But I need to start my thinking cap and getting sort of in gear to do a new square and all that stuff as well. Gary's at work tomorrow, so should be an easier day. I've got 10.5 of postage to do later for the postie tomorrow. It's a bit of annoyance, really, to me that they've started charging for collection. It used to be that, you know, they'd advertise how cheap it was, much cheaper to have it collected because you haven't got to go out as well, and it's cheaper than buying it from the post office, but it isn't anymore, you know. They caught me in their snare. In the snare. Anyway, guys, I am going to get off because I'm going to go out and see if Gary needs a hand. He doesn't usually like people in his kitchen when he's cooking, but on the odd occasion, he does have a little job for me. And then I look all disappointed because, you know, I offered and it was more lip service than actually wanting to do anything. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to feel that, you know, got to offer. And then usually when they say, no, that's fine, it's like, yes. But then all of a sudden, they go, oh, you can peel these carrots. And I'm like, well, I asked. Anyway, I'm going to go and hopefully not have a job. No, well, I might have a job. You never know. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Hopefully then I will know what it was I was going to show you. Bye for now.